Hey, are you struggling with how to find your place in the world, not knowing who you really are? You're growing up and you have different directions in which way you can go, but you're not sure in which way you're supposed to go and how to define yourself? Well, if so, then this video is for you. Let's get into it right now. What's up, congratulators? Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time, I'm Xavier Garcia, and this is the Ultimate Psychology channel. I'm creating awesome videos to cure all your life. So, I'm not sure when you're watching this video, but if you're watching it when it's brand new and fresh, it's October 2019, and we're on the verge of entering into the holiday of Halloween. And this is a kind of a fun time of year because everyone's dressing up in their favorite costumes. And it's kind of interesting to see what people choose how to dress themselves. If they're going to dress by someone scary, or if they're going to be a superhero or a princess or something like that. And I like to see this as, this is a conscious choice of what you get to wear. And some people, they want to express a dark side of themselves, or they maybe want to express a light side of themselves, right? But either way, it's a great time to see how we choose to express ourselves and present ourselves to the world. This is kind of like our hidden identity, right? And a lot of us have that, and so it's interesting. But a lot of times in real life, we struggle with who we actually are. It's easy to put on a costume, but who are we when we go deeper and try to find the truth about ourselves? And it's important to know who we are and our role and our place in life, because when you know who you are, you know how to interact with the world. And when you know who you are, the world will know how to interact with you. And therefore it becomes a nice exchange or a nice conversation, a transaction, a relationship that can be prosperous for both ends, for you and the world. So stick with me here. A lot of the times that the way that we choose to define ourselves is based on how other people define us or describe us. When we're children, when we're babies, they tell us that we're cute, or they tell us that we're traviesos, right? Troublemakers, or whatever reasons. And so we start taking in this information. And for the most part, since these people are taking care of us, or they're the only people in our lives with the most amount of authority and influence, we take these things as core beliefs. And if they're good things, then that's really good. And if they're not really good things, then that can be really difficult and tough for our lives. And it can send our life in a direction that maybe wasn't really meant to. So we have to find ways to break through both the good and the bad and find out who we are. We don't want to have false self-esteem, or esteem that's artificial, that's not really based on the credit that we give to it and the esteem that we give to it. But of course, we can all be seen as good things. But the negative or the extreme of that is that you might think that you're so special, right? That maybe that you're perfect, and you go out into the world and you build up this persona of yourself, and then reality hits and you're not that person. You're not that great. You're not that genius that maybe you thought you were. And you come crashing down like Humpty Dumpty, and you don't know how to pick up the pieces, and you start asking yourself, who am I? Who am I really? And like on the flip side, how I mentioned, if you get the negative beliefs and you think that you're just a troublemaker, you might end up in prison or jail and struggling with the conflicting belief, like that's what they tell me I am, but I feel like doing this, but the culture maybe around you is suffocating you and keeping you in bondage, and you end up living a life that is frustrating and not worth living, and you can feel like taking your life on both ends, right? They both end and lead to negativity. So what we need to do, and what we can start doing, depending at what stage or level you are in your life, and if you're watching this, I believe that you're struggling with that identity issue and trying to find who your true self is that we have reality-based thinking, where we reflect on who we are. Maybe I'm a man, I live in San Diego, I'm a food service worker, because a lot of times we base ourselves on what we do, right? And this is real thinking, right? So it helps us be settled, helps us be grounded. But then we have an evolution part of ourselves, a progressive part of ourselves, a part of ourselves that wants to grow and be bigger and better than yesterday, and bigger and better than ever before. So we have to start planting the seeds, the ideas, the thoughts that we can be that way. So before I was married, I was engaged. And before I was engaged, I was a boyfriend. And before I was a boyfriend, I was single. But I would have never gotten across this chasm had I not started thinking and believing in myself in advance, telling the truth in advance that I'm a happily married man. And I believed that, and I felt that that was a promise to me, that was meant to be my destiny. I believed it with so much conviction that over time it became true. Now I had to go through a few girlfriends there to find the where I can truly state and claim and plant my fact that yes, I'm happily married, and today I'm married to my soulmate, right? So it takes a long journey, and it doesn't happen overnight. I remember going back to that place. I was with a girlfriend, and I'm in my early 20s, and this is a time of questioning and self-discovery. And along with self-discovery is, it's self-creation, who you want to be. And that was the key distinction that I make. I just thought I came to the world and this is who I am, this is how it is, and this is who I'm meant to be. I didn't know I can change. I didn't know about self-improvement until I started investing in myself, because something came my way and I was like, wow, I can actually change my life. You change your thinking, change your life, right? As the saying goes. And so I'm on this place of self-discovery because, I knew who I was up to a point. And then I became an adult, and my identity started to change. I'll get to that ex-girlfriend story in a moment. And, my first primary identity was in high school. It was my junior year, going into my senior year. And I said, I'm a Chicano, right? I'm a Mexican-American. I'm a proud Mexican-American. And I wanted to be president of the Mecha organization. It's a student organization designed to empower Chicano students to go to higher education and eventually to, make the world a better place. And so I had great significance, had success with it, and it was a great time. And then I went to college, the junior college, and then again, reality was pressing up against those identities and beliefs, because as beautiful as it wasn't my ultimate identity. It wasn't the biggest identity I could have. I started brushing up against, some of the negative and false beliefs that I had, and then I started coming up against my beliefs with nationality, right? So I had a race identity, then I started having a nationality identity crisis. And I was thinking like, how can two people of the same race think two different ways about our political ideology? And so I realized, political ideology and ideas is bigger or greater, it supersedes our race identity. And then I was like, wow, okay, so this is how I identify myself. I'm an American, right? I'm a proud American. Yes, I'm a Mexican American. I'm an American of heritage, of Mexican descent, but I'm born in America. I'm born in the U.S., and I'm proud of it. And although the country hasn't been perfect, and maybe it may or may not have been originally designed for someone like me, but here we are today. It's evolved, it's progressed, and it's become bigger and better and more beautiful. And then there was like, yes, okay, so I have that identity. Yeah, I feel like I'm on top. And then there was the bigger one, the last one. And that's my identity in Christ, my identity, who I am, that I'm a creation of the Creator. And that I choose to be a child, not just a creation of the Creator, but a child of the Creator, a man of the Creator, a friend, and that we're in a partnership where He takes care of me and I try to be obedient with what His plan is for me. And because His plan, since He's the Creator, is the greatest plan that could ever be, created, because He's obviously the Creator. He's loving, He's happy, and He wants the best for me. And He wants the best for you. So this identity supersedes and is over and above bigger than my political identity and of course my race identity. That's kind of like the lowest common denominator. We see people when we go to prison, they break off into races, right? Because that's the lowest animal function. We're superior human beings. We use our intellect, we use our minds to overcome just the natural world and just the worst of ourselves, not just the best of ourselves. So going back to that girlfriend story, I remember we're sitting on the beach and our relationship is kind of like in this weird place, and she says, "You don't know who you are." And I got a little upset, but I knew she was telling the truth. And shortly after that, she left me. She dumped me. I couldn't bring her back because I didn't know who I was and where I wanted to take the relationship. I didn't have a vision for our lives, and where there's no vision, the people perish, and our relationship perished. Thank God for unanswered prayers, because obviously I've discovered who I was, And, again, now I'm happily married to my soulmate. But, and I have a purpose, and I know my mission in life. And, this is why I'm here today, and I'm able to give back and share my story, my testimony with you. So that wherever you are at your journey, you can have the hope and so sort of the mindset to get you and carry you through to your ultimate destiny, your promised land. But from that time when she dumped me, and there was of course, other experiences along the way before that and after that. But it was a hellish nightmare for me. As expression goes, it's 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration, right? Or 1% innovation. And that's what it took. As Eric Thomas states, he says, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. And that's what it took. It took me I don't want this anymore, and I could have given up, right? I could have taken my life, or I could have pressed on. And there was something still in the back of my mind, in the depths of my soul, that knew that there was something greater and better for me. And thank God that I stuck to it and I persevered. I pushed through. And I came out the other side, right? And even from that, when I was like, you know what? I know who I am. And even whether I know how to define myself or not, whether you know how to define yourself or not, you are somebody. You're not just a nobody. Even if you feel like a nobody, you are somebody. You're meant to be somebody. Just like when God plants a flower and makes a seed, or when we plant a seed, that seed is just a seed. If you look at the seed, it's like, oh, that's nothing. That's just looks like sand, right? But you plant it, and that seed can grow into a beautiful garden, a beautiful orchard. Or that little nut, it grows into a beautiful, strong oak tree, right? And so just like if you look at yourself realistically on a reality basis, you might not look like much or seem like much. Nobody else might believe in you. But there's untapped, full potential reservoirs that lie within your soul that are meant to be expand for you to live a totally successful life. A life that is not just full of achievement, but also fulfillment. So I urge you to start plugging away. Now, the way you can do this is you can start going and collecting experiences, find out who you are in different kind of environments, different kind of people and crowd, and take time after those experiences to reflect. Who are you on a reality basis, and who would you have liked to have been in those experiences, right? What did I do right? What could I have done differently? And as you start reflecting on these things and you take these insights with you, you take them to the next event, to the next occasion. And now you're a better person. Say, you know what, for these type of events, I'm just going to manufacture joy. I'm just going to manufacture happiness. I'm just going to manufacture enthusiasm and good vibes. Or if it's in this kind of situation, I'm going to be cool. I'm going to be mellow. I'm going to be tranquil. I'm going to be peaceful. Right? I'm going to be serene. And so you start basically calling your shots, and you start collecting. You find out what are your values, the things that you like more or less, that are beneficial, for others and also, of course, for you. And so you have this streamline of a life, and not to get caught up in our identity as who we are as employees or as our jobs, or who our boyfriend or our girlfriend or our spouses. We have a unique identity separate from those, but it's an identity that empowers those identities. It's an identity that that's before all of those identities. And I learned this from Brian Tracy, and he says, the success expert, and he says, basically, the tide that raises all boats, or the tide that raises all affirmations. I mean, it's an affirmation that raises all identities. And basically, you have an identity for who you are as a dishwasher, as a husband, as a lover, as a father, as a car driver, right? We have identities for all these different things. And we might think we're poor at singing, for example, or that we're great at athletics, at sports. But when you begin to, a core principle affirmation that we begin to start accepting and believing is, I like myself. I like myself. I love myself. And if you look yourself in the mirror, or you start just knowing to yourself, I like myself. I like myself. I'm living a great life. I love myself. I love my life. This is great. This is fantastic. When you start plugging away like this, the chugga, choo-choo, like a train. It just plugs away. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. Eventually, it takes root, and initially, it doesn't work, right? Because it's like, no, you don't. Maybe you have a whole lifetime, 30, 40 years, 15 years 18 years of people telling you that you're the opposite of those things, right? I have the great belief that my wife and I, we're the relationship champions of the world, and we affirm that. And it's a new affirmation we've been using for the last couple of years. And as we use that and we begin to identify ourselves, you know, we get through a challenge or we get in a rut or a ditch. You know what, babe? We're the relationship champions of the world. We can get through this. We can do anything we put our minds to. And it becomes a rallying cry. So what are the rallying cries for you, right? And sometimes start digging deep. Start being playful with it. You know, if you don't want anybody to hear you, that's fine. Go into the bathroom and look in the mirror and start repeating these things, humming things to yourself. This is why I'm a private self-improvement trader. We can do these things in privacy until we can do them out in public. Okay, we take them out with you. And what you do in private will be rewarded in public, right? It takes 10,000 hours of mastery or whatever it takes. But it's worth getting to the other side where you can truly love yourself and love your life and know who you are, right? Whether it is an affirmation, it's an identity like that, or it's just a peace within inside of your soul that you feel that you know who you are and that you're grounded and that you've been sanctified and justified in God, right? And so here on earth as it is in heaven. And this is just a great place for you, and this is a desire and my wish for you. And if you're struggling with even just affirmations, put yourself in a scary situation, right? Do something big, hard, and scary, right? And you'll feel alive. You'll know what it takes. You'll be like, if you felt like you had a gun to your head, for example, and you had to think of something, what it is, right? And if you got to repeat the process, then do so. It's just dramatization, and you're just making it up in your mind, but it forces you to come up and produce something. And you're like, that's what it is, and that's what I am about. And you might forget it at times. You might not remember. Write it down, post it up. You know, I'm a man of honor. I'm a friend of God. I'm a faithful husband, right? I'm an excellent employee, or I'm a famous YouTuber, right? I'm a knowledge broker. You start saying these things and repeating them to yourself, writing them down in a daily journal so that your mind is continually deluged and flooded with all these positive thoughts that eventually just take over, overwhelm, and overcome, eclipse anything that you've ever experienced. And when you do, then it's like you have a brand new life and you've cured all your life, and it doesn't matter what your previous life was or whatever experiences they were, because you've made yourself brand new and you're living a good life, a great life. So those are my recommendations for you. I hope you find your true self and you reclaim your true identity, and you live the best life ever. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And until the next video, this is Xavier Garcia signing out and saying love with freedom. Thank you very much for watching.